I love the hustle, man.
Yo, what's good? I go by the name of Steph. We got Dope Boy Bush, all that nowhere, and we back with another video, man. What's good, my bro?
Man, I'm doing good, Brody. Doing good, man.
Nice. So we're going to get straight to it. We're going to talk about these Kings and this recent road trip. It is now over. We had a 4-game road trip. We're going to talk about the results of that. But before we get to that, if this is your first time to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, let us know what you think about the topic today. Other than that, we're going to get straight to it, man. Sacramento Kings. So we had a 4-game road trip. So the first game was again. So we kind of talked about the Jazz game, the last video. So we had the Jazz, the Hawks, the Raptors, and the Heat. All right. So we finished that road trip. What, 3-1?
3-1.
3-1.
Yep.
So we beat the Jazz. We beat the Hawks. Lost to the Raptors. Beat the Heat. Now the last video that we did, you were talking about you felt like the Kings were going to lose one game on this road trip, and
definitely,
I think you picked the Heat to be the team that was going to win, that was going to beat us on the road trip, but it ended up being the Raptors. I don't know. I mean, between the Jazz, the Hawks, and the Raptors, I mean, none of those are good teams. You know what I mean? So we should have beat them. Let's talk about we can talk about that Hawks game too, because I feel like we were kind of playing with our food a little bit with that one.
We were. We were.
What are your thoughts on that Hawks game?
I felt like we let them stick around.
Yep.
You know, that game, like you said, should have been a game we should have won. You know what I mean? And so basically, we should have won that game, to be honest, but we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We let him stick around. We let Westfall get some big shots. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Matthews, I think it was for the Hawks.
You were talking about Matthews.
Yeah, Matthews is out there killing us, bro. Like coming off them screens, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 23.
Having wide open shots, you know what I mean? So like I felt like they definitely played with their food. They allowed, the Hawks to stay around a little too long, honestly, man.
Yeah.
No, in my opinion.
No, Garrison Matthews,
Garrison Matthews,
he had 23 he had 23 points in 30 minutes. He was the second leading scorer for the Hawks that night to Trae Young's 25. So he had 2 less points than Trae Young. You cannot let Garrison Matthews,
and it was his first start,
get dub on you. Like if you're and like what that tells me, and then we're going to talk about the next games the following that. But what that tells me is just what are we doing on defense, man? Like. Is that why we're struggling? Is defense the reason why? Again,
yes.
and I think I mentioned I think I mentioned it last video. We can't just go in thinking we're just going to outscore everybody, man. You have to lock up. So, what are your thoughts on just overall the defense on this road trip?
Well, I said, I know it was a wacky traveling situation. You got to think you're going from Utah to
Atlanta,
where is it? To Atlanta, then Atlanta back up to Toronto, then Toronto back down to Miami. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's a lot, But like I said it to you beforehand, I've said it to you before the season even started. The lack of intensity on defense has to be a interest of the coaching staff and to players to get it correct. Because get it corrected. Because at the end of the day, we all said it, and we all know this. It's always been a statement that's always been said. Defense wins championships. If you can't play defense, like you said, you can outscore your opponents all day long. But if you're not playing defense and they're still hanging with you, that allows them to go ahead and get a chance to win the ball games in crucial moments.
Yeah.
And this was a situation to where Garrison Matthews, for his very first start for the Hawks, came in there and did what he needed to go ahead and do. Now, I don't know if we underestimated him. That, okay, first start. We didn't probably expect for him to go ahead and shoot as well as he did from the 3-point line. But I will say that, yes, when they were collapsing on Trae Young, whether it was Trae Young going down to the paint or coming off the screen, he was able to dish the ball and get Garrison in his spots in order for him to score. And I don't know what we were doing on defense, and the reason why we did not talk amongst each other to say, hey, rotate, man open, who's got Garrison? Because the last couple of possessions, he was killing them. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. They have to pick up the intensity on defense, and I've seen it in multiple games where they're just too lackadaisical, man.
Do you think it's a lack of effort, or do you think it's a scheme on defense? What do you think? It
can be. I think it's both, honestly. Because if you don't buy into the scheme, then you're not going to go ahead and put it in the effort.
Yeah,
and vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, you have to have somebody in there. And I know Mike Brown. Very, very, very No nonsense coach from what it seems like, and for what I've been seeing, him talking to his players and things of that nature. But he has to find somebody that can go ahead and emphasize the defensive structure on that ball team, man. For sure.
No,
has to happen.
Yeah. So as far as offense goes, DeMar DeRozan, or excuse me, De'Aaron Fox was the high scorer against the Hawks. He had 31. DeMar DeRozan had 27. And then the third leading scorer that night was Domantas Sabonis with 15. Keegan Murray had 14. Keon Ellis had 12 in 19 minutes. A lot of scoring. Kevin, like I said, Kevin Hunter 10. Malik Monk 9, Trey Lyles 5. So I mean, it was a lot of scoring. 123, 123, 115. And again, like I said, the Kings were kind of playing with their food a little bit, but you know, they ended up winning that game. So the following game was the Raptors, correct? That's the game we lost. That's the game we lost. Fire off. Go ahead. It's on you.
Well, I mean, for one, Kings, what the hell are y'all doing, bro? They had absolutely none of their starters. I think none of their stars played.
Scotty Barnes was out. Emmanuel Quickly was out.
He was out, right?
How are you losing? Why are you losing that game?
And you mean to tell me you guys could not close out and finish that game? I mean, hey, look, the Lakers did it too as well when the Lakers played them. You know, Raptors was giving them, you know what I'm saying, a little bit of trouble too as well. And I looked at that game like, well, damn, you know, if the Kings remotely come out flat, they're going to have a problem. The only thing that helped out the Lakers is because, like I told you beforehand, they got dogs. They got people that's going to be on lockdown on the defensive side of the ball. Kings, they just did not show that effort whatsoever. You know what I mean? And I just don't know what to say, bro. Like, they let them stick around for a team who shouldn't have been able to stick around, honestly.
Yeah, that game was kind of inexplainable. It was like, you know,
was.
And again, it was a close game. It went overtime, 128-131. But again, like when you're playing a team like the Raptors, who RJ Barrett did play.
Yes, he did.
He had 31. He played his ass off.
He balled out. No, he definitely balled out.
I cannot pronounce this guy's name, but I know he was drafted by the Jazz. Now he plays for the Raptors. Abaji. I'm sorry, I do not know him, but he had 22.
Botching that boy name.
Killed his name. Grady Dick, the second-year player, he had 22. He's getting a lot of run. He almost played 40 minutes. I actually like him as a player. Davion Mitchell played almost 40 minutes. He was obviously in for defensive purposes because he didn't do anything offensively. Yes. He had 5 steals and 7 assists, though. So, you know, still contributing.
When you look at the box, score for him,
Chris Boucher, he had 24. Like, it's just like, what are we doing? Like, what? Like, where's the defense? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely.
Where's the defense?
Definitely, man? I agree with you 110%. That defense has to go ahead and figure out. They have to find their identity. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way you're gonna go ahead and separate yourself from the other teams that are down at that bottom half. But for you to go ahead and also be in an elite team, you have to figure out how to form a niche. Like, let's just be real. You know what I'm saying? Back in the 90s and the 80s, bro, you knew what teams were tough to go ahead and play against because they had their niches.
Yeah.
The bad boys of the Pistons, you knew they played defense. You know what I'm saying? The Celtics, you knew they played defense. The Lakers, you knew they were going to go ahead and run and gun you. You know what I'm saying? Up and down the court. You know, Chicago, the 90s, their defense. New York Knicks, defense. You know what I'm saying? So you have to figure out what your niche is, honestly.
I'm not going to lie, too. And again, when we talked about the starting lineups over the summer, who should start?
Yeah.
I said Keon Ellis. And I'm not saying that because he's the best player for that spot right now, because obviously Malik Monk is not going to start. We know that. But I think it was kind of between Herter and Ellis. I feel like Ellis being such a good defender, I feel like he kind of helped set the tone for the perimeter defense. Because then maybe you wouldn't have a Garrison Matthews going off like that. You know what I mean? Maybe you wouldn't have a Grady Dick going off like that. Like, you know what I mean? So Herter is not a defensive specialist. He's not. And if
he's not.
And if he's not scoring 15 and up, man, put Keon Ellis in, man, because Ellis can score and play defense. I agree. You got to mix it up, man, because these games are too close, and obviously we're losing close games. The Minnesota game was close, lost that.
Yes.
I believe the Laker game, I forgot the score on that, but I don't believe that was a blowout or anything like that.
No, that wasn't a blowout neither. No.
And losing to the Raptors, close game, almost a loss. We're going to talk about it next, to the Heat. So let's go to that game. Last second heroics by Sabonis. Oh my goodness. He
Just thank you, Sabonis.
he got the
Thank you,
offensive rebound and got the floater. The Kings won by 1 point. He saved the road trip because, I mean,
he did.
To finish that particular road trip at 2-2, I would say that would be a failure. I don't like 3-1. I feel like that should have been a sweep, honestly. But I mean, 3-1 is better than 2-2. But it almost went 2-2. It was very close to going 2-2.
No, it definitely did. But we talked about it. And, when I said it, and we were talking about the road trip early, a couple podcasts ago or episodes ago, I said, hey, look, when I look at this road trip on this skid, the only time I can really see them losing to at this point was the Heat, just based on because of their mentality and the players they have on their squad. You know what I mean? And they stuck around. It was just a better situation for Sabonis when he grabbed that rebound and put it back up, and able to go ahead and get the ball in the hoop before time expired. But when we looked at that game, I think we were up by 17, I think.
The thing was we had a crazy third quarter. We were struggling to get the ball in the bucket.
Yes, that third quarter was
I think we scored, and I think in the third quarter we scored like maybe 12 or 14 straight points or something like that. So we outscored them the third quarter 37-17. So that was a huge quarter. You scored 20 more points than the Heat, and then then we scored 26 in the fourth. They scored 32. So that third quarter won the game for the
crucial,
Kings.
Yeah, definitely crucial.
But they still almost lost it. So it's just like, okay, so looking at these 4 games and then looking at the the previous 2 before they went on this road trip, what type of team do you see right now? They're 4-3. They've played 7 games. We're quickly approaching that 10 games that we talked about. So I thought they were going to go 7-3. I think you said no. You said 7-3. I think 6-4.
6-4 is what I said. 6-4.
You said 6-4. I said 7-3.
Yeah.
So for them to go 7-3, they got to win the next. They have to win the next 3 to make my prediction correct.
Right.
But I mean,
and the reason why I predicted that standing is because the teams that they got to go ahead and play in this bottom half now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so these teams that you're playing are teams that are over 500 or should be over 500 because they do have the talent to go ahead and be able to do so. And that's the reason why you and I had discussed saying it was very, very crucial for us when we got on this road trip, knowing we were playing the Jazz, knowing we were playing the Raptors, knowing we were playing the Hawks, that these were games that we should have potentially have won for the ones that we didn't win. You know what I mean? And like I said, they should have. I felt like they shouldn't have been close. I felt like, they should have been games that should have been like, hey, man, 15 or better, we got to win, But like you said, they played around with they fooled up there at the table just playing. It's like, nah, man, like you got to close games. I think that's where you and I talked about the identity of the team at this point now.
And that's what I want to get to.
Who is going to be right?
That's my question for you right now. What is this team right now? Like, how do you see this team? Are we mid? Because I don't think we're a bad team. We're not a bad team.
No.
But I was in the mindset that we were going to be of the elite in the Western Conference. I really felt like that because I feel like when you look at the roster, it warrants that type of excitement, or expectations. When you add DeRozan to what you already had. I mean, I would think that you could be a top 3 team if you play your cards right. If you could lock in on defense. But so far, I'm thinking we look like a mid team right now. We look mid. Right now we're 9th in the West. Right now we're 9th in the West. So again, let me run down the first 8: Thunder, Suns, Warriors, Rockets, Mavericks, Lakers, Timberwolves, and Nuggets. And then we are 9th, 4-3, right behind the Nuggets. So, I mean, and again, I don't want to be too hard on the Kings because there's a lot of 4-3 teams right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 4-3 teams in the Western Conference right now. And then you got some 4-4s, 3-4s, and things like that. So, I mean, but again, to separate yourself from the rest of the pack, you're going to have to buy into defense. So, as of now, what do you believe this team is right now as far as identity, as far as ranking, low, mid tier? Like, where do you see this Kings team right now?
Well, identity-wise, I think they're still trying to find themselves.
I do too.
The reason why I say that is because you added the piece of DeRozan. And I think I've said it to you guys beforehand, and I know we talked about it through text and through phone calls, is that when it does come down to these crucial games and it's a 2-point deficit, 3-point deficit or whatever, or you're up by a couple buckets here or there, the ball, to me, has to run through DeRozan. Because him in that 25 feet mid-range game is crazy work. Probably one of the best mid-range players in the game right now. So run the ball through him through crucial moments. You know what I'm saying? It'll open it up for you to Fox
I ain't gonna lie.
eventually.
I kind of disagree with that point. I think.
Oh damn, for real? You
Well,
don't think so?
I'm not mad at feeding him early, but I think when it gets to like, okay, you need to go get a bucket. De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron
DeRozan all
Fox.
day.
No,
Nah,
De'Aaron Fox.
nah,
De'Aaron Fox. He's unstoppable.
man.
Who have you seen stop De'Aaron Fox? Be real.
Nobody.
You see what I'm
Nobody.
saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like, he's so quick and he's so crafty. I love the little floater he has. His 3-point shot
Yes.
looks effortless. You know, and I ain't gonna lie, I don't know why. Like, I'm sure you play hoop. It's always harder to guard lefties. I don't know why. Especially like when they're quick and like shift. I don't know what it is. Because you're used to I don't know. But you know, he you cannot stop that dude. When he's rolling, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like and like again, he had a hot quarter against the Heat. So that third quarter, a lot of that was De'Aaron Fox when DeRozan was kind of, you know, just turning over the ball.
Wasn't he on the bench at the time?
He was on the bench for a little bit.
Yeah, he was on the bench for a little bit too as well.
Yeah, but De'Aaron, but when he was on the floor, I know there was a couple turnovers, missing shots, and they were like, "Hey, De'Aaron, here," you know. And then and you got some bonus to kind of just clean up the scraps. But I feel like the offense.
Sir.
I feel like again, like kind of go back to what you said. Either way it goes, with your opinion and my opinion, they do need to find an identity on offense because right now I don't feel like it's there. What do you think is causing it? Is it just trying to implement DeRozan into what they already had? Like, what do you think it is?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. It's implementing DeRozan into the system now. You know what I mean? Because like I said, when you think about it, Fox or Monk during that time last year were the guys that they were feeding off of in that last quarter, especially when games were close and things like that. Now, DeRozan, he did make a 4-point play, which actually helped out
that was huge.
The Kings, you know, in that Miami Heat game. So I just felt like in crucial games like that, go through what's called DeRozan, because eventually what's going to do is going to open up Fox. Because when you go ahead and take somebody like DeRozan of his caliber to go and go down in that low block, it's going to cause that double team to come through.
Yeah.
Move the ball again. It's going to get to you. It's going to get to one of y'all. Monk, Fox, Herter, or Ellis, whoever's on the floor.
It's going to find somebody,
It's going to find, right, exactly. Because eventually you're going to be like, well, damn, we continue to keep doubling down on DeRozan in these crucial moments. Now we're leaving players open. What are we going to go ahead and do?
Yeah.
So I do feel like, yes, do they have identity right now at this very moment? No.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the next maybe 5 or 6 games, maybe they find it, hopefully, because, you know, that's crucial. You need to find that.
Well, here's the thing.
For me, as far as
here's the thing. You got to find it quick because, again,
yes, you do.
I just talked about how tight the West is right now. And honestly, I think it's going to be like this all season. I don't think it's going to be like, you might have 1 or 2 teams that kind of pull away. They're going to be like the top 2, but everybody else is going to be fighting. Right. Like, remember that one year everybody was fighting? There was like a couple game span between like 8 and 3.
Yeah.
It was like, man, you win 2 games, now you're 4th. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, whoa, like, so I think it's going to be like that again. Because again, all these teams, I'm looking at the teams right now who are not in the top 8. Kings, Grizzlies, Clippers. Now I feel like those, it's so funny because the top 10, those are the teams I feel like are going to be fighting because you got the Spurs, Blazers, Pelicans, and Jazz down below. I can kind of see those teams missing out. Don't be surprised if the Pelicans
though.
Don't be surprised if the Pelicans make a trade before the trade deadline, as far as like a big trade, maybe getting rid of Ingram. But the West is tough, man. The West is tough. I feel like
it is.
I feel like everybody. I feel like I'm looking at this whole entire Western Conference. I feel like every team has good players and, you know, has a potential to be a good team other than the Blazers and Jazz. Yeah. Other than the Blazers and Jazz and the Spurs. Those are the only 3 teams that I'm looking at like, but other than that, it's up for the taking.
And Houston, the Rockets, even though they're playing there,
I like the Rockets.
I don't really see them stay. I like the Rockets too. I don't see them staying there. I see them dropping a little bit.
No, they're not. They're not going to stay there. I think the Rockets are going to drop out of that top 8. I think you're going to see the Kings kind of move up somewhere. I think you might see the Grizzlies move up somewhere. If there's,
the Golden State Warriors
I see them dropping out. I see them.
Damn, do you?
Yes, I do.
6-1 right now.
Yes, I do.
For real?
Because I think the Grizzlies and the Kings are going to get in that top 8.
Okay.
So that means somebody. That means somebody has to drop out.
What?
So the Thunder's not going to drop. Suns aren't going to drop.
No.
Mavericks aren't dropping. I don't see the Lakers or Timberwolves dropping, and I don't see the Nuggets dropping.
Oh.
So
okay.
But who knows? I could be wrong, but the Kings are getting in there, man. We know that the Kings are getting in that top 8.
I hope so, man. I hope they do. Like I said, right now, as far as like, you know, to answer your second part of the question, I see them being like a mid-tier team right now.
Okay.
Hopefully they find their identity and get into the groove of things by the time December hits, because that still gives you a good enough amount of time that you guys know who you guys can go ahead and feed off of, play through the whole nine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like I said, if anybody from the Kings are listening or their staff is listening, please emphasize defense, man. Please do that, because that's definitely something that they're lacking right now. And I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know if it's going to be a player through trades or what, or somebody stepping up, or Keegan being like, hey, look, you know what? Or Sabonis, even Sabonis has been playing good defense, for him to step up and just be like, all right, you know what? Let me go ahead and set the defensive intensity for the rest of the year and get these boys back on the same shit that we own.
If they can find that, man, they're going to be unstoppable. If they can find that,
yeah, I agree.
If they can find that, they're a top 3 team in the West. If they can find that defensive thing that they need to find, they're a top 3 team in the West.
110%.
Before we get up out of here, let's just kind of talk about these next few games. Oh, also too, I'm not sure if anybody cares about this, but the in-season tournament is starting on Friday.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so the NBA Cup games, group stage games are going to start on Friday.
Yeah, do away with that, man. Do away with that.
You know what? I ain't gonna lie. It to me, it did become interesting last year once you kind of got to the actual like tournament when they went to Vegas. It was like, okay, what's about to happen? So that was kind of just something cool to like watch.
But the thing about it is though, man, like when you do something like that, right? You feel like you're gassing yourself out for later on when it really matters.
Well, you're playing the games anyway. You're playing.
They're not definitely. You are.
You know, these are games on your season schedule.
But when you look at it like,
but you're talking about the intensity of the games and playing
the intensity level, yeah, because you're like, you're like, hey, look, you know what?
But that's why they did it, because I guess they were saying like a lot of the games were like a days ago. People weren't really interested in watching NBA at this point of the season because they're focused on
low management.
NFL.
We know that
they're focused on the NFL, low management. So this is kind of enticing fans to watch competitive basketball. Because it did. That's one thing I will say. It did get competitive last season with that in-season tournament. So if nothing else, it does give us that some competitive fervor early in the season. So I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. You know. But
we'll see how it goes again this year.
But so we have the Raptors tomorrow. All right, so we play them again. Mm-hmm. We got to get back on them. Do not lose to the Raptors. Don't let the Raptors sweep you if you're the Kings. Do not let the Raptors sweep you if you're the Kings. So Raptors. After that, we have the Clippers this Friday. Heading into next week, we got Phoenix, Spurs, Phoenix again, Timberwolves again, Jazz again, Hawks again. So, I mean, it doesn't slow down, but you're going to be playing good teams pretty much every other night, if not every night. We haven't even gotten to the good East Coast teams yet. That's probably going to come in like December. Let me look.
December, yeah. I think December is when it starts to pick up for them to go to make them East Coast trips.
Or actually, no. So our East Coast, like playing the good teams in the East, that's not going to start till next year.
January.
Yeah, I'm looking at because January it's like the Sixers, the Heat again, Celtics, Bucks. So yeah, the Knicks. You know what I mean? So they're gonna be out there like in the midwinter playing those teams out there. But you gotta win these next couple games coming up. Yeah, man. You gotta make. Gotta make November count. Gotta make November count, man. Let's see if we can get a little streak going. My 7-3. For the first 10 games, it's still in play. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully they can go off and win these 3 straight, man. And
I'd rather them go 7-3 than 6-4. So you know what I mean? Yeah. Prove me wrong, please, and go ahead and do that 7-3 for sure.
Nah, definitely.
And get back in that winning column, man. Get your more, get the camaraderie up and want to win some games.
Well, at some point, if you're the Kings, you got to get a win streak going. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Again, that's the only way you're going to create space between being a low-tier team, mid-tier team, kind of getting up there. Definitely. And then when you kind of create that space, now you have a cushion to like, okay, well, all right, we lost a game or two. All right, let's get back rolling. Let's get back rolling. Let's lock in, start winning some more games. So I think they're kind of at that point now. You can't really be like that mid-tier, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. No. Prove you're a good team. Prove you're a good team. Prove that you are, you know what I'm saying, a top 3, top 4 team in the West. Start stringing some wins together, man. Locking on, like you said, locking on defense, and let's get this thing going, man. Let's get this thing going because but 3-1 is not bad to finish the road trip, though.
No, it's not. Not at all. I mean, that's something to go ahead and build off of. 3-1 on like I said, a wacky travel situation at that. You know what I mean? That travel situation was so terrible. You know what I mean? So some teams will probably go ahead and lose, be on a losing streak during that time frame. Who knows? But 3-1 off that road trip was definitely something great to go ahead and build on going forward. And hopefully, these next couple games being at home, they can go ahead and string up some wins there and get back in the 500 column or higher, should I say, and start jogging for like you said, that the higher tier of those teams in that
Start jockeying
standings.
for position in that top
Position, hell
four.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
hell yeah, definitely for sure.